He can hear pained breathing, like that of a wounded animal. What sounds like sobbing. Sobbing?
Who's there?
Kouji whispers into the darkness. Now that he's given away his position by speaking, he might as well turn on the light. For some reason, however, Kouji hesitates to do something so irreversible.
Sobbing. The last time I heard her voice. On the phone, she was sobbing.
The wheezing suddenly stops, as though whatever it is holding its breath. A whisper comes out of the darkness, though not a human voice, not by any measure. It speaks some blasphemous semblance of human words. A nightmarish flash of insight connects the dots in Kouji's mind.
Tsukuba?
It can't be. Tsukuba Yo doesn't sound like that. She doesn't smell like that.
Kouji, please, kill me.
If it's not Yo, then how does it know Kouji's name? Why is it begging him for help? Even so, it can't be Yo. She's human. She shouldn't be slithering around like whatever slimy creature is hiding in the darkness. The thing wriggles closer to Kouji. His reason cries out, imploring him to switch the light in his left hand on before it's too late, or to turn and run if he cannot. However, Kouji is unable to accept either choice. He can only call out in vain to the amorphous shape in the darkness.
Are you Tsukuba? Hey! Are you really Tsukuba?
Something soft and slimy slides over Kouji's toes. Instinct completely overrides his will, forcing him to turn on his light and shine it at his feet. The white beam reveals everything. The merciless truth that finally shatters Kouji's sanity. Terror wipes his mind of everything but two words, gun and trigger, looping endlessly through his head. His right index finger responds with absolute obedience. There is an instant of tremendous light and sound, both more intense than he expected. And then the destructive forces are swallowed up by the darkness. His ears are still ringing from the bang, but he hears a weak voice coming from the shadows again. Kouji screams and desperately pulls the trigger again and again, believing that salvation can only come from his own finger. Light and darkness, silence and explosion. They dance their dance 3 more times. Kouji doesn't even need to aim, of course. His terrifying enemy is right at his feet, far too close to miss. Ryoko warned him about how many bullets were left in the revolver, but that information has already been driven from his mind. Even after the cold, heavy gloom wraps itself around him once more, Kouji keeps pulling the trigger like a man possessed, paying no attention to the clicking of the empty, worthless revolver. As though his panic-stricken body has just realized how strange it is to be standing on 2 legs. Kouji loses his balance and goes down hard on his backside. Still frightened out of his mind, he keeps firing the empty gun from a sitting position. He knows no other way to erase the memory of the thing that he saw for a moment in the beam of his maglite. The light, which fell from his hand during the attack, is now lying on the floor, pointing in a completely different direction. All 4 bullets delivered by Kouji's finger must have hit their target, enough destruction to kill any human 4 times over, and they were his last card to play, which means that he is now sitting alone in the pitch-black darkness with no way to defend himself. And just as he realizes this, a mass of cold, rotting flesh rolls onto him like a wave. He can no longer even scream as he's pushed onto his back. With fear seizing his throat in its iron grip, Kouji struggles desperately against the thing as it crawls up his body towards his face. Covering his face with his left hand, he scrambles wildly along the floor with his right, searching for a way out that doesn't exist. Devoid of anything but primal fear, his mind has regressed to that of a feral animal. And that, perhaps, is why, when his right hand closes around something hard at the last moment, he's able to instinctively recognize it as a weapon. Putting every ounce of his strength into his arm, Kouji swings the heavy object in his hand at the creature on top of him, with the wet sound of a water cushion being struck with a blunt object. Kouji's attacker rolls off of him. As soon as he's able to move freely, Kouji leaps to his feet and grabs the new weapon with both hands, as though it's a charm to ward off evil. For the first time, he realizes that he's holding the part of a rusty steel pipe. It's sobbing again. With a cry that's part terrified scream, part enraged roar, Kouji raises the steel pipe and brings it crashing down on the cowering creature. He hears a wet sound and feels the blood-chilling sensation of its thick, soft flesh absorbing the blow. These combine to evoke a physiological loathing in him that wipes his mind of all but the urge to destroy.
Shit!
Consumed by the same desperation with which he kept firing the empty gun, Kouji rains blow after blow upon his enemy. After the 10th blow, it stops sobbing. After the 20th blow, it stops moving. And after the 30th blow, it begins to feel and sound more and more like he's beating some viscous liquid. Kouji doesn't stop thrashing the creature until he realizes, or rather, recovers enough of his mind to realize that, whatever it might have been, it's no longer anything but a lifeless corpse. The pipe in his hand, covering with unidentifiable fluids and filth, suddenly feels unbearably heavy. The 20 years of memories that he has built up as Tono Kouji, if they were precious and dear to him, he should never have come to this place. The black flames of despair rise within him, consuming all other emotions. Unsatisfied, they keep burning, until their uncontrollable heat sets his blood to boiling. Kouji recognizes that heat is anger. Right now, he is undeniably filled with hate and rage toward the person who poisoned him with the truth and tore his innocence out by the roots. And then Kouji, slave to hate, hears the breathing of someone sneaking up behind him. Kouji spins around, swinging his steel pipe with all the killing force he can muster. His enemy hastily leaps back to avoid the strike, apparently not having expected his surprise attack to be so foiled by Koji's counter. Twisted shadows dance in the light of maglite on the floor. Readying his pipe for the next blow, Kouji faces off against his second attacker.
Sakisaka Fuminori!
Kouji never imagined that he would ever say his old friend's name with such hatred.
Hey, that swing just now. You trying to kill me or something?
Even now, Fuminori is smiling, as though the huge axe in his hand's just some kind of joke.
Damn. To be honest, I thought you'd hesitate a little bit more.
You thought I'd hesitate? Against you?
Kouji sneers too, unable to contain his contempt for Fuminori's ridiculous notion.
How did you kill Omi, you bastard? What did you do to Tsukuba? With all that you've done, you expect me to think twice about killing you?
That's my line, Kouji.
Fuminori says in a low voice, looking sadly at the pile of meat that Koji's just beat to death.
How dare the likes of you do such a horrible thing to my yo. You'll taste 10 times her pain before I kill you. Prepare yourself.
The blade of Fuminori's axe carves a murderous arc through the darkness, glittering menacingly in the faint light coming through the floor. Kouji raises his pipe to block Fuminori's brute force swing. The shock of the heavy impact shoots down his arms, but his large frame allows him to push the axe back without losing any ground. The axe comes howling down on Kouji a second time, and then a third. Fuminori's weapon, designed for practical purposes, is significantly stronger and easier to use than the piece of pipe that Kouji just happened to find on the floor. With his hands full protecting himself from Fuminori's axe, Kouji is unable to find an opportunity to counterattack. Each strike he blocks sends chunks of rust flying from his pipe.
Son of a bitch!
Kouji blocks a crushing downward swing, then pushes back before Fuminori can pull his axe away, throwing him off balance. Stumbling backwards, Fuminori plants his feet to regain his balance. Taking advantage of his opponent's temporary immobility, Kouji delivers a punishing low kick to Fuminori's outer thigh. Fuminori grunts and retreats, swinging his axe wildly to prevent Kouji from following up with another attack. Kouji, however, does not press his advantage. He just stands where he is, calmly spearing Fuminori with his stare.
You haven't been in many fights, have you?
Fuminori roars and comes in for another attack, but the damage in his right leg seems to be slowing his swing, easily blocking the axe with his pipe. Kouji waits for Fuminori to exhaust himself. Howling crazily, Fuminori delivers blow after heavy blow. However, the battle has already become one where composure, not brute strength, decides the victor. When Fuminori raises his axe high for yet another attack, Kouji sees that his movements have grown dull enough. Seizing the opportunity, Kouji charges into Fuminori's range and grabs the haft of the axe with his left hand. As Fuminori recoils in fear, Kouji brings his pipe crashing into his enemy's unprotected side. He feels the crunch of ribs breaking. The pain drives Fuminori to his knees. Staring down at Fuminori's defenseless head, Kouji, surprised by his own lack of emotion, raises his pipe high to deliver the finishing blow, which is when something wraps itself around his left ankle.
What?
The instant Kouji panics at the unexpected sensation, something soft, yet strong, winds itself around his right leg and drags him to the floor before he can resist. He twists his body and tries to swing the steel pipe at the unseen enemy behind him. But his right hand too is seized by the same flexible force. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation of the thing wrapped around his uncovered wrist. That monster was still.
That's it. Saya.
Fuminori says encouragingly. Even while kneeling on the floor, his face twisted with pain, he manages a terrible, victorious grin.
Saya! This thing is...
Kouji struggles desperately, trying to free his limbs from the creature's horrifying grip. But more and more tentacles swarm over his body like snakes, stealing his freedom of movement. The horror has already driven Kouji half mad. Just imagining the appearance of the creature attacking him is enough to threaten his sanity. His scream is suddenly cut off as a slimy appendage sieges his throat. This most deadly tentacle isn't just cutting off his breathing and circulation. It's trying to snap his neck, and it's squeezing tighter and tighter.
My mind hazy from the pain, I watch as Saya feasts upon her slain prey. We've won. It was hard, and I wasn't able to do it alone, but for the first time we worked together to defeat our enemy. The price was steep, of course. At least 2 of my ribs are definitely broken, sending a sharp pain shooting through my chest every time I breathe. And then there's Yo. I didn't expect her to fall to Kouji so easily. Unlike Saya, she might have been unfamiliar with how to use her new body in combat. My injury must have fueled Saya's anger. Her slaughter of Kouji was merciless and complete. As soon as her prey stopped moving, she sank her teeth into his vital organs and ruthlessly extinguished the last embers of life. Though her brutal, grisly actions were unbecoming of her delicate features, Saya's face, covered in blood and gore, was like that of a victorious queen of beasts lording over her defeated foe. There was something noble and sacred about her primal ferocity that made me reluctant to disturb her. I don't know how long I've been watching over Saya feasting. I've nearly fainted from the pain several times. To be honest, I'm not used to violence. The wounds I suffered from the car accident were worse, of course. But these broken ribs are the most severe injury that's ever been deliberately inflicted upon me. Anyway, You'd think that Saya could show a little more concern for my condition. Kouji is already as dead as can be. There's no reason for her to be in such a hurry. I suddenly realized that Saya stopped eating. Now she's lying on her back, rolling from side to side. Has she eaten too much? It's been several days since we've had fresh and frozen meat, so I understand why she would get greedy, but still, I'm wounded here. She could give me a hand, because I'm preoccupied with my own selfish wants. I'm slow to realize that something is wrong. Saya isn't just lying down. She's trembling. In agony. My blood goes cold, and the pain from my broken ribs is suddenly forgotten. Saya? I jump up, run to her side, and cradle her fallen body in my arms. Her face is pale and drenched in sweat. Her half-closed eyelids and lips are shivering. It's like she has a fever. What's going on? I have no idea. Could she have sustained a serious wound in the fight without my noticing? Could the meat she just ate have been poisoned somehow? I don't understand. All I know is that fear is quickly overwhelming me. Saya! Saya! The only thing I can do is keep calling her name with all of my strength. Saya slowly opens her eyes and gazes vacantly at my terrified face.
Fuminori. Sorry. I'm fine. Really, I'm fine. It just hurts a little.
What's wrong? What is it? Come on, Saya. There's no way that she's fine. It's glaringly obvious that her condition is dire. Even so, I'm the only one who's panicking. Saya's expression is serene, as though she understands everything. She even smiles softly, as though trying to comfort me.
I can't believe it. I never thought the time would come so soon.
I might lose Saya. The worst possible outcome, one I didn't even want to imagine. I feel overwhelmed by anxiety and despair, as though I've returned to being a helpless infant.
Don't be afraid. Remember what I said this afternoon? This is the sign. This is our only hope.
What are you talking about? I don't understand. Saya, pull yourself together. Saya answers my tearful entreaty with a smile like that of a mother comforting her child.
I did it. I decided to do my best. After all, you said you loved me. You said that I was pretty.
Stop this, Saya. I don't know what's happening. Whatever it is, though, I can't just sit by and watch as it causes Saya such excruciating pain. Enough. Don't push yourself anymore. I don't know what you're trying to do, but I don't want to see you in pain.
Don't be like that, Fuminori.
Saya says with an exasperated smile.
Please understand.
In a soft voice, she reveals her secret.
They're going to be born. Our children.
For a while, my mind goes completely blank. What? When did you?
I'm surprised, too. Fuminori.
Saya's labored breathing speaks to how much pain her tiny body is suffering. Even so, she wraps her arms tightly around my neck.
Take me outside. To an open place. Under the sky.
I nod. What else can I do? If I speak, I'm afraid I'll be unable to hold back my tears. I mustn't cry. Not when Saya is facing her torment so bravely. It feels like Saya is burning up in my arms, and I fear that the terrible convulsions that shoot through her at intervals will tear her frail body to pieces. Praying for her safety, I scoop Saya up and carry her swiftly out of the ruined building. Maybe the cold night air will soothe her fever even a little, but that hope is futile. Cruelly dashed as her breathing becomes more shallow and she moans through bluish lips. Saya, we're outside. In response to my call, she opens her eyes once more. Her gaze is cloudy and unfocused. It's clear that she can no longer see. Nevertheless, Saya looks at me. I can tell that she's imagining my expression where my face should be.
Just as I promised. This is my final present.
I know.
I hope you'll be happy with it.
Of course I will. It takes every ounce of my willpower, but I manage to make my voice sound light and cheerful. In Saya's mind's eye, I know that I am smiling. She won't have to see my face streaked with tears.
Fuminori, to you who loved me, I give this planet.
Saya's whisper is weak and pained, but there is ecstasy in her voice. Ecstasy and joy. Her back suddenly shifts and then bulges outward.
This world will surely become beautiful.
Saya says softly, as though reciting a prayer.
A world just for us.
And then, Saya blooms. How else can I describe it? Flower petals, long and wide, they spread from her back like the wings of a newly formed butterfly. Their brilliant glow comes from the countless tiny scales that cover each petal, like particles of light. Is this goodbye? I ask her, careful to keep the sorrow out of my voice.
No, it isn't. This is the beginning.
Saya's pain must have already left her, for her expression is infinitely peaceful and content.
The beginning of our world.
The radiant motes rise on the wind, covering the frozen winter sky with glittering rivers of light. It is beautiful. Overwhelmingly, painfully beautiful. It is the song that heralds the coming of the new world and the destruction of the old. Singing victoriously of our freedom, the shining seeds of life are released into this vast and fertile land. It is a boundless healing. It is an eternal blessing. We shall fill the world with our joy. Now we'll be together forever, won't we? Embracing Saya's pitifully shrunken body, I gaze into the shining sky and let my tears flow freely. Thank you. Thank you for this last gift, Saya.
She was worried at first about how long the preserved foods in the underground storeroom would last her, but now it seemed that her fears were unfounded. It's the liquor that she should have worried about. By savoring each drop of spiritus as though it were her last, she thought that her flask would hold out a little longer, but she must have been consuming more each day than she realized. Who can blame her? In retrospect, there's no way that she could have gotten through this without the intoxicating effect of distilled alcohol. After Ryoko chased useless emotions like hope and despair from her mind, she found herself spending the most peaceful days of her life. As resignation set in, hate and fear left her. Now she only feels awe for what Ogai Masahiko did and respect for the depth of his intellectual curiosity. After all, neither she nor this world would have any reason left to deny his research. Alone in the mountain cabin, Ryoko killed time by bringing order to the documents that Ogai had left behind. She took the scattered, enciphered papers and rewrote them in a more readable fashion, eliminating redundancies and improving their ability to be indexed. Ryoko didn't intend for anyone to read them, of course. She knew full well how meaningless her actions were. With her reason to live gone, however, having something to devote her mind to was at least some relief. And now, with the last congratulatory drops of spiritus vodka burning their way down Ryoko's throat, all of Ogai's research lies before her in a single volume. She's finally finished transcribing and annotating the last of his writings. Enjoying the pointless satisfaction of a job well done, she idly pages through the manuscript that she just completed.
I shall conclude by summarizing my theory as it currently stands. The life form that I named Saya did not appear in our universe by chance, nor even as a result of my summoning, but because of the instincts that were programmed directly into her biology. She was created to fulfill the same ultimate purpose that all life shares: reproduction. Saya and her kind procreate by spreading their seeds to other dimensions. What is the probability that they will discover a doorway to another world? Even if they succeed in doing so, the chance of that world being suitable for reproduction must be even more minute. In order to make the most of that scant probability, evolution has granted them a certain ability. None other than the astonishing ability that I have witnessed in Saya. To wit, they select the most prosperous species that they encounter, take control of it, and, in doing so, gain dominance over the planet's biosphere. In other words, they hijack the entire species. Upon finding the species that exerts the most control over the planet, they overwrite its genetic code and remake it in their own image. Saya's body is more than capable of this. There is a significant probability that the target species will have evolved into intelligent life. This element may be necessary to gaining control of the planet's environment. Therefore, Saya and her sisters also plunder their target's culture and psychology. Her extraordinary learning ability and intellectual curiosity are likely instinctive tools that enable her to inherit the target species' entire wealth of knowledge. In fact, it may be that Saya's kind has always had their sights set on intelligent life. Perhaps they wait patiently for some foolish, extra-dimensional species to gain knowledge of the other worlds and, in attempting to fulfill its curiosity, make contact with the outer universe in which they dwell. Rather than send Saya and her comrades on their dimensional journeys with only luck and their own strength to depend on, would not waiting for such contact greatly increase the chance of finding a world worthy of conquest? Just as I, having acquired the Silver Key, fancied myself an explorer of the unknown, how many intelligent life forms on other worlds have thoughtlessly congratulated themselves for discovering Saya's sisters?
She drives a little further up the mountain, to an open place that offers a scenic view of the land below. In the early days of the change, Ryoko often came to this spot to helplessly watch over the mutating city.
The one flaw in my theory comes from none other than Saya herself. After using me to learn everything about humanity, Saya should have finally been prepared to begin the last stage of her invasion. However, she never carried out her mission. Why? I hypothesize that Saya was an irregular, even among her own kind. It is said that the human race's intelligence has allowed it to conquer its instincts. Perhaps Saya accidentally inherited the disease that infects our entire species. By absorbing the human psyche, she might have allowed the many schools of thought that conflict with our natural instincts to severely damage her reproductive urges. What is human love, really? What behavior could be more of a hindrance to the efficient propagation of a species? I am reminded of how, at the end of her studies, Saya consumed vast quantities of old and new romantic literature from all over the world. She tried to understand romance as an integral part of the human reproductive process. As a result, she might have unwittingly neutered her own unparalleled reproductive abilities. After all, she had not known love. She had come to this world to rule it in humanity's place, and had studied our species in order to fulfill that purpose, but, ultimately, she could not share love with a human. Without love's blessing, Saya was unable to find the enthusiasm necessary to fill this world with her kind. After learning everything there was to know about humanity, she herself became irreversibly human. Weary of loneliness, she despaired of the world. How pure her maiden soul must have been. If this hypothesis is correct, then it means that I have failed as her teacher. I cannot help but feel ashamed for having spoiled such an extraordinary organism.
Saya. Next to Ogai Masahiko, Ryoko now knows more about that entity than anyone else. No. When the young man named Sakisaka Fuminori is added to the running, perhaps she only comes in third. In the end, she never encountered the creature face to face. She would have liked to meet it once, though. If Ogai's analysis of Saya's psychology is correct, then it must have been Sakisaka who restored her desire to conquer the world. Perhaps, as Sakisaka's chief physician, Ryoko played some role in bringing that lonely young man and Saya together. In which case, she should at least have the right to attend their wedding to end all weddings. If Ryoko were a man, she might even have charged them a matchmaker's fee.
I have a dream that one day my daughter will know the blessings of love. I pray that there will come a day when her heart burns with the flames of passion, and her world becomes bright and joyous once more. When that day comes, Saya, your terrible, irresistible purpose will surely consume us, that your progeny might flourish. The whole world will know your love, and be reborn. Ah, how glorious the future is. I deeply regret that I must end my life before I can see that day come, but the footsteps of those who would expose my dream are getting closer by the hour. If I seal my lips in death, then their vengeful hands will not reach you. Please forgive me, Saya, for leaving you alone in this barren world. With the knowledge that you now possess, I know that you will be able to find your own path. The radiance of your hard-won soul shall light the road ahead. Have no fear, have no doubt. March onward until you reach your answer at last. And I, Saya, will dream forever of the future that you will bring.
Perhaps it's the isolated environment, or the mountain air. Maybe she's just more resistant to the change. Whatever the case, Ryoko has not yet become as inhuman as the creatures wriggling through the city below. She doesn't know exactly how many people on this planet could still be called human, but she is one of what must be only a handful of survivors who are left to watch over the end of human civilization. Of course, it's only a matter of time before she changes too. It's been 3 days since she chopped off her right hand, which had ceased to function as anything resembling a human hand. But the itching that has spread across her entire back is growing more intolerable by the hour. She could look in a mirror to see what she's becoming, but she doubts that would make her happy. Ryoko thinks that maybe it would be best to just go to sleep here, with the world spread out before her. When she awakens, perhaps she'll be ready to descend the mountain and join in the city's revelries. Or maybe she won't even need such resolve anymore.
Whatever the case,
Ryoko thinks dreamily, as she licks the very last drop of vodka from her flask.
after I stop being human, I hope I'll still be able to enjoy the taste of booze.
In my life, I shall give it to you. The wind dances on.
To what could have been.
Let's Dub Project.